Hello, we're back. And this is the improvement show by me, by Wardí, by SC2Improve. Please do follow us on twitter.com/SC2_improves and also facebook.com/SC2Improve. Don't ever miss any of them future SC2Improve events or shows such as Improvement. I hope you're enjoying it. Any feedback, please do feel free to leave it on our forums at www.sc2improve.org. So guys, we're going to head into our next replay here in just a moment. Just going to take a while, in fact, just going to do it right now, in fact. Take off the overlay and we'll get into it. So this is another one from Reddit, where I do believe we got submitted by to master level TvZ on Cloud Kingdom. In the top right hand corner we do have ZardiChar, our blue term player, who I do believe is the submitter, going from the his Reddit username. So ZardiChar in the top right hand corner, our blue term player. In the bottom left hand corner, our red Zerg player, TSLoopSLee. So again guys, if you do enjoy the cast, if you do enjoy the show, please do give us a follow on the stream so you can see when we go live with all our future casts, shows and so on for SC2Improve. I'm just waiting for this game to start on up to see what's going to happen. So TvZ, a little bit of a break from the TVP. Hopefully after we may be able to go find something that isn't a TV, like a Terran based matchup, maybe, who knows. We've got quite a few more that we can go through. So again guys, if your replay doesn't get cast tonight, then obviously we can't get through all of them because there's absolutely loads. I'm already going to be trying to aim to do at least 4 hours, maybe more. We'll see how it goes. We could try go through all of them, but that's going to take some fucking dedication. But again, this is going to be the start of a series of shows, so if replay doesn't get picked tonight, then you can always submit it to the next one, which is probably going to be in the new year, but I might try and fit one in between Christmas and New Year. So again, if you want just always the opportunity to take part again next time, and if next time you submit you say, hey, I submitted last time, I was this guy and I didn't get cast, then you'll be prioritised or something like that, and I'll work something out. I'm smart like that, I can do that kind of shit. As we see Hatch first coming down for the Zerg, if we actually want to talk about the game instead of future shit, it's all going to happen someday, maybe. So Hatch first, Pool, nothing crazy, gonna see if he wants to take gas here, as we just see a gasless expand gonna come out of our Terran player. Gonna go for that before the extra depot, which is fine. It's gonna allow him to take that gas much earlier if he wishes to do so, and that's wow, tongue twister. That's exactly what he wants to do here. Take that gas nice and early. So probably gonna be going Hellion Banshee here. Not gonna go for a stupidly greedy 3rd CC like we saw earlier in a TvZ. So gonna get 3rd CC probably sometime, but probably around 7:20ish mark. So for now we have the Zerg. He's just sitting here with this Overlord, gonna come in and scout here in a bit. He's actually gonna go and see the gases, it would seem. So he's not seen the expansion. He saw with a drone though that the Terran player was gases, so could assume an expansion. Now the Terran player has gas. TSLoopSLee has a pretty good scout on this, and not much the Terran can really do to deny that. Now, the Zerg is taking double gas very quickly here, so he's probably going to get aggressive. He could, I mean, usually you want to take your double gas about 5:36ish, usually around 6. So very interesting to see him taking it at about 4:30. Our Terran player wasn't able to scout that, ZardiChar. His SCV will get picked off by these lings, so one thing I like to do, in fact, is like when I play Terran, is I always like to patrol my SCV maybe somewhere over here for the first little bit, when them lings are initially checking around the kind of 3rd base, and then when you come back in, you can like come back in about 6 minutes or so and start patrolling to scout for the 3rd base. So we do see a roach one coming down, so TSLoopSLee gonna go for, I would assume, a slow laying roach all in. He might just go for pure roach attack. So we'll see if it's going to come to fruition for him. Doesn't want to lose this mule here, and the mule will go down, so a little bit unfortunate for ZardiChar. Happens all the time though, happens to everyone. He does have the factory and the reactor up, so he's going to go, he's actually not going to go for the Banshees, so Actually, yes, he is. I apologise. So I could have started that starport up a little bit earlier, and every few seconds counts in this kind of game where you're about to get busted. So it's always worth just, as soon as that factory finishes building, just start the Banshee ASAP, start the starport ASAP, because you want that Banshee out as soon as possible. So I have a couple of devos here, so I got a little bit of supply blocks, which are going to halt the Hellion production for just a moment. So again, just a little couple of things there, just a couple of mechanical mistakes, nothing too huge at all. To be expected, of course, we're not perfect. And we do see 8 roaches on the map, but we only see 6 drones. We see already 6 drones in the production tab and lair coming up, so it's not an all-in. It's a pretty hefty investment into an attack. The SCV somehow manages to miss the roaches, which is pretty unfortunate. So in this position, Cloak started, the Banshee's still not on the way, and again, few seconds guys, so that Banshee could be probably about 5 seconds or so ahead. These Hellions on the map, maybe not comfortable taking map control of them, they could have maybe seen the roaches coming and could have started up that Banshee soon as well. So this these Hellions could have maybe scouted a little bit more, so roaches do come in, and that Banshee could have maybe been out a little bit quicker here, as the roaches will start doing some damage, so we'll see how much they can really do. The Banshee is on its way, they're about halfway done, and the roaches are right now just going to pick up a depot, going to start supply blocking here, and ZardiChar going to lose a few SCVs too. And if I was Berserk, I'd just run in here now, get all as many SCVs as I can, because that's what this really needs to do, and that's exactly what he is doing. So picking off a lot of roaches, a lot of SCVs. The Banshee's about to come out, and these roaches could even maybe like get out of here alive if they wanted to, though they would be chased down by the Banshees. So just killing off the bunker is probably the best idea, picking off the mule, the SCV and so on. Gonna actually pick off that fresh mule as well, so a little bit anxious, a little bit eager to get their mules down there for ZardiChar. But he will clean this up, and if we look at the resources, well, 12 workers killed. A bit more for Terran, and I definitely think it's worthwhile. However, the Zerg hasn't taken a third base behind this. So a little bit interesting, he's actually starting up a lot more units, he's ahead on workers, so he's starting a round of Lings, and that's so that you can defend the Hellions, so that you can kind of just sit around here with the Lings and kind of stop them if they come in to try and run by. So here's a couple of Spore Crawlers coming up as well, a nice smart decision, he scouted them Banshees, so why the heck wouldn't you? But for our Terran player, we don't actually see a third base. Now, whether that's because he never planned to make a third base, or whether because he just got caught up in the kind of confusion of the all-in, is the real question. So the third base is a little bit late, which means recovering from that early damage is a little bit troublesome. So we could have expected the third base to probably even be an orbital by now, and even be potentially moving out and trying to take position here with the Hellions on the map to kind of control any Lings from denying it. So as the Banshee comes in, it's actually going to get deflected by a Spore Crawler. It's just going to get out there, not going to be too greedy. Sees no third base, doesn't want to get too greedy. I mean, seeing no third base still at 10 minutes 20, it's going to make you feel pretty confident. At the same time though, he needs to get his own third base going pretty soon. He's continuing to invest in the Hellions, and Stim's on the way. The barracks are going to come down pretty late. I mean, the engineering bays are up as well, but the Hellion number could have been cut already. He could have already had more barracks on the way, because that's another 200 resources on the Hellions. That could have just been something different, that could have been a bit more useful. It could have been that third base a bit faster, could have been them racks a bit faster, which at the end of the day is probably going to be a bit more useful than the 2 extra Hellions. By the time you've already got 8-9 Hellions out, it's a preference thing, but going over 8 Hellions personally, I think a little bit of a waste. So our Zerg player is on lair, of course, and he is going up for Mutalisks, because he's getting his +1 melee weapons. The Spire's on the way down the back of the Natural. He's got a macro hatch up as well, but still not going for that third base, and I really think he could have right now. I mean, our Terran player hasn't been too active on the map with these Hellions. He's got creep over there, so the Queens could get there to defend Banshees, so I really don't feel any reason for the Zerg not to have taken the third base yet. Now, for the Terran player, continuing to make Banshees now, kind of, it's fine. Like, he's going to be able to clean up units with them and so on. He's committed quite heavily again to these Hellions still. In fact, they're still in production, so this is just the style he obviously enjoys playing. He's actually going to be able to do a lot of damage on these Lings here and pick a lot of them off. So again, ZardiChar maybe just wants to be a little bit more careful about maybe scouting this amount of Hellions, maybe get a few more roaches out. Even for the early mid game, roaches are actually pretty effective. For Banshees, I'd like to see maybe at least 1 Viking being made, so that you can clear this Overlord pretty quickly, maybe go pick off some Overlords. It doesn't work against all Zerg opponents, but it's always a good thing to kind of get out, so you can clear drop paths and so on. The first meters are on the way, and finally the third base comes down for the Zerg, and again ZardiChar with a nice little scan, knows he hasn't really been taking the map control too well with his Hellions, says, well, I'm going to scan, I'm going to see where if your third base is up, and seeing the third base, again, probably makes him feel pretty confident with his third base ready to morph into an orbital. ZardiChar in a nice little position here, however, didn't really scan, he knows layers up because he poked in with the Banshees before. Doesn't know about the Spire though, so that's something he could maybe be thinking of a little bit. No turrets up, even one or two just safety turrets. Maybe just a turret here just in case. Or even a turret here is always worthwhile in case Burrow defenses could try and come in your main. Could be worthwhile because right now for ZardiChar there's only about 10 Marines, 11 Marines or so. So a little bit troublesome if their mutants had come in already. They could have done a fair amount of damage. However, TSLoopSLee has just kind of sat around with the meters for quite a while, so he hasn't actually been able to do the damage that was maybe made by the opening due to the kind of later racks that we're seeing from ZardiChar. So again, ZardiChar could maybe just cut Hellions a bit sooner, added them racks a bit earlier on as well. And other than that, he's doing quite good for now. He's cleared out that Overlord. Could maybe start dropping out. I mean, he doesn't know meters are on the map, so drops could be viable. Once he sees meters, he might decide not to drop, but just happy to stand around now and start taking his own third base. He's going to be able to secure that in just a few moments time, and he's going to transfer the SCVs over there right now, taking the gases immediately, which is always great to see. And might be a bit early to say, but I'd really like to see a little bit of a deeper wall just over here, just so that you can siege a couple tanks behind it. It helps for counter attacks, it helps from run bys and so on. So he might use this later in the game, but always just maybe one, two depots and a bunker. Always a nice little thing to have at your third base to stop any kind of like units just swarming your army that's over here, for example, in a counter attack, a run by, and so on. So Terran's in a pretty good position if you look at this in terms of army supply. He's 80 to 95, where, well, pretty much even. And he's ahead on workers as well, so a huge economic lead. The third base for the Zerg isn't even saturated quite yet, so that's just way too late for the Zerg. It should have been saturated a long time ago, it should have been built even earlier. So the Zerg player messing up a little bit with that third base in general, as we do see these Lings starting to position to come in for a run by. And this is the kind of thing, like, obviously wall here isn't going to stop Lings coming in here, but it means you can have some units over there, and you don't need too many to help defend, and these things are actually going to do a decent amount of damage because the army's a little out of position, stuck at the natural. Huge stim over there is going to allow the mutants to now come in seen for the first time, and they're going to do quite a lot of damage as well. So the Lings do get deflected, and now the army's going to have to be pulled back over here to kind of deal with the mutants really. So instantly, kind of when you see these mutants, the Terran player should be thinking, well, turrets, wherever I need them. Turret my main base, turret the natural, turret the third, and start kind of position units, split your Marines up into different groups. Send about 5 or 6 Marines to accompany a turret in the natural, 5 or 6 Marines to accompany them in the main. And we do see a third, run by the third base once again. And again, these mutants just kind of causing out multitasking here for the Terran player. The Terran doing a nice job. They're going to clean up a lot of their units. I'm actually going to chase them out, but again, if you had a wall here, a couple of tanks behind it, should stand that kind of run by a lot easier. The mutants now swinging into the main base, and again, ZardiChar just kind of caught up in all of this aggression, hasn't been able to think, put down the turrets and so on, because he's just been so caught up in the action so far, because the Zerg's been doing a really nice job of harassing. So as soon as he catches a break, which is now, he should think, well, the mutants can come back any second, I need turrets ASAP, and that's exactly what he does there. And again, just needs a few at the third base as well. Maybe just one here, just to help kind of buffer that. Behind this, the Zerg really with Mutant Ling Bling should be taking a fourth base. No reason not to at all, because quite frankly the Mutant Ling Bling's so mobile on the map, it's not kind of vulnerable to drops. It could even take a fifth base as well. Zerg is now maxed out. He's making a lot of Banelings here. Baneling speed on the way too. But the upgrades are the real worry for me. I mean, he's not even getting +2. He's investing in +1 missiles, where he doesn't have a second Evo and he needs 2-2 when the Terran's halfway to 3-3. So the Terran, despite kind of maybe not being taking a lot of damage to them kind of run-bys and harassment before, should really right now be thinking a bit about, well, screw that, but we have an engagement here. The Baneling's coming in and the Terran running back into a siege shot of the Zerg. Baneling speed isn't finished yet, he's off-creep as well, so not a good engagement to take. And ZardiChar will pick up a lot of free units then. Heavy Roach Bling army now, kind of trying to retreat. All I was trying to say is, 2-2 is so important because once the Terran gets 3-3, it's going to negate any kind of damage done early in the game because the Terran's just going to trade so cost efficiently again and again and again in every single fight. And that's the kind of thing that Terrans can really rely on to get back in games. Not saying that ZardiChar was out of the game because the Zerg was far behind in the first place, but it's the kind of thing that's going to give ZardiChar a huge advantage here, even after taking a lot of damage to the Mutas. So Mutas get deflected this time around by the turrets. Just a little bit of a mistake on the gas here. We do actually see the engagement coming in a little bit of a late stage from ZardiChar. And these Marines all stimming. There's not that many Baners left, but not really much control going into the Marines either. And the Roaches will come in from all sides and finish off the surrounding. The Banshees, though, will be able to clean up the rest of this. And ZardiChar, he's got a nice macro. He's got a lot of units back at home as well, so he's actually still got quite a good shot here. He's going to be able to rematch nice and easily and hold off any kind of pressure pretty easy. But the problem for him right now is he needs to kind of start a 4th base up. So he needs a 4th base. He needed a 4th base about 2 or 3 minutes ago, really, because he's not going to be able to keep mining for too much longer. His main base is mined out. His natural's not actually mining that much right now. If we look at the income tab, we see only 41 SCVs. We see the Terran player moving out, and it looks like he's going to get aggressive here once again. His tank count looks a little bit low. He's only on 1 right now, and the Baner's actually going to come in, and ZardiChar just caught out of position more than anything. Again, these 3-3 upgrades are going to allow him to trade so efficiently that even with bad engagement like that, ZardiChar able to kind of stay in this game. Heavy medevac count of course helping as well. And back at home a lot of reinforcements. So ZardiChar needs to kind of keep them reinforcements coming with his army, scanning ahead a little bit more before he runs down ramps into kind of a Baner surround. Zerg secured a 4th and a 5th base. Still ZardiChar not really dropping this amount of medevacs. Maybe just send one over to the natural. Just try and pull the Zerg apart a bit. It'd help him get positioned with his tanks in the army a lot better. The tank production is a little bit lackluster. I only see 1 tank in the production tab, which to me says he maybe doesn't have a second factory. And with these resources, you really need a second factory again, especially against Mutant Bling. You want to go for a very heavy tank composition, so maybe even 3 factories. Get them tanks back up ASAP. As you see the Blings going to come in once again. The Baneland's cheaper, nice free split from ZardiChar. And again, the upgrades here going to be able to mean that he's going to be able to very easily turn his opponent around or trade extremely cost efficiently from a fight which he maybe shouldn't have won had the upgrades been even. Going to be able to clean this up very easy now. The medevac's doing a lot of work here as well, doing a lot of healing, and the Queen's now coming in as kind of the last defense. GG is actually called, and ZardiChar will take the game, but quite a few quite a few mistakes or things to kind of touch upon in the kind of like post-game analysis. So again, the 3rd base at the start was very delayed. That could have been up a lot sooner. And then the next thing I'd say is a lot of Hellions and Banshees were made when maybe get a Viking out a little bit faster, maybe get less Hellions out, for example. Little things like that are the kind of things that can make you get these racks up a bit faster, get them extra Marines going, get your pushes going a little bit sooner as well. 3-3 upgrades were great, that really helped in the game. Counterattacks, once the counterattack started, it kind of went a bit crazy, he wasn't able to keep up. As soon as he got a break, he was able to kind of stabilise, get the turrets up and so on. So pretty much he dealt with that well, just he dealt with it well once it calmed down, just kind of doing stuff, doing action. Of course it's very hard when you're being attacked here, attacked there, attacked everywhere. It's very hard to kind of keep on top of things, so just kind of keep in your mind, try and think about, hey, I need to get my turrets up, at least try and start them somewhere, because it just takes a quick second to go what, like F1 into my main, SCVs, BT, turrets, and then back to whatever I was doing before. So just trying to process your brain to think about defending the future kind of multi-pronged aggression while dealing with stuff is kind of a really great skill. Again, 1 factory against Muta Bling Ling is the kind of thing that's like just necessary against Muta Bling Ling, because you just need that kind of heavy factory count, the heavy tank count to deal with so many Bane lanes. So other than that, maybe just try dropping later on in the game after a lot of the mutas have been picked off and so on, but we didn't really get a chance to maybe see that stage. So a good game. And the other main thing as well, the fight's always just trying to scan ahead, stim a Marine ahead, always see what you're running into, see what you're about to fight, so that you can siege prematurely, siege very early, and just be ready to fight pre-split and everything, instead of, for example, the one game when you ran down the ramp here and the Banelings kind of came around from every angle and you lost most of the army. So good game, well played, and we're going to take a quick, once again, 2-minute break before we be right back with our next game, which is going to be go away from the right thread for a little bit, and we'll see what it is in just a few moments. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I'm Wardí. This is the SE2 Improvement episode number 1. Hope you're having a good time. We'll be back in just a few minutes.